Well, good morning to any of you that have signed in already. I'm sure you're looking forward to the rest of the day after this with a bit of luck. So, good morning. We'll just give it a couple of minutes before any stragglers come into the session so that everybody gets the full benefit of this webinar. If you haven't been to our webinars before, we do one every month. We do 10 webinars a year. You can actually go to the RPMA website and check out the past webinars that we've done. There is some interesting stuff in there which will hopefully fill a few gaps in your knowledge in the property management field that you've chosen to dive into. So what's everybody doing here? Yeah, there's still a few stragglers coming in. So welcome to 2026. Don't know how that came up so fast. I'm sure you've had a bit of a break over Christmas and New Year, and now you're wading through the rest of the year. Today, we're going to do a session. It's a two-parter, actually. Part two is next month, so you've got to come back for the other half. So today we're doing who is your perfect client owner? The elusive, fantastic owner that we're all looking for who wants to use a property management company like your company. So how are our numbers going? Yeah, we're starting to fill up now. We're a minute into it. Yeah, it's finding your perfect client owner is an interesting skill to develop because well, you put a lot of effort into finding the perfect tenant. I know that some companies go to great lengths to do background checks and credit checks and police database checks and all the background information that you can gather on a prospective tenant. So you guys work hard at picking a good tenant who's going to do the three or four simple things that we all want our tenants to do, and that is to pay the rent, to not damage the property, and to not annoy the neighbours, and also to not complain incessantly about things. But that doesn't happen very often. So you've got pretty much bulletproof systems to find the perfect tenant. Finding your perfect owner is a bit trickier because you don't pick them, they pick you, or they pick your company. And they might pick your company or you for various reasons. They might pick you because you live locally and they think that's a useful thing for the management of their rental property. Or they might pick your company because they like the pretty logo that's on the side of their cars as they drive around town. Or they might pick you because a friend has recommended your company to them. So there's many reasons why they will come and pick you, or they might even stumble on you on Google reviews and go, wow, these guys look great. Let's talk to them. So yeah, owners choose you. So you have to understand what makes a good owner, because if you just take every owner, you can end up with a rent roll of hard work. And so what I'm going to do this morning, and part two is next month, I'm going to help you to think a bit more definitively about what would make a good owner for you and your brand and your company. So you've got to find out from a prospective rental owner who's approached your company, you've got to find out a few things about them. So here's a short list to get your mind working on this. So who are these people? Where do they live? Do they live in the same town as their rental, or do they live in at the other end of the country, or do they live overseas? What do they do for a living? Are they lawyers? Are they painter and decorators? Are they plumbers? What do they do for a living? What makes them feel good? And I know as a rental owner, I feel good when I know that my rental has all its rent paid up to date and there's no maintenance needing done, and my property manager is communicating well with me. What does a client owner expect of you? I'll go into more detail about that shortly. What do they think about you and your company? What have they learned about you and your company? These are things that you have to ask them when you're having a discussion with them. What do they think about your competitors? Which is an interesting angle to look at it. And what is their plan for their rental property? Are they short-term or long-term investors, or have they just become accidental investors? So you can apply that small process to new client owners who get in touch with you and say, "Can you tell me about your company, please?" But something you can do with your existing portfolio of owners. And I want you to try and conjure up who is your best owner. Think about your best owner that you deal with on a monthly basis right now. You might have one or two, or you might have 20. I don't know. Be lovely if you do. Think about the owners that you have, the good ones and the bad ones and the average ones. So try rating your list of owners, A, B, and C owners. So, what makes a good owner? They're nice to deal with. They're easy to get in touch with. They don't generally interfere with your management of their rental property. They're long-term investors. They trust you. That's a good owner. Also, what makes a good property? It's clean and tidy. It's in nice condition. It's well heated. It's well insulated. It's kind of modern and up to date. It's easy to rent, and it gets a good solid rent rather than a low rent because it's a low grade property. So, if you're going to ABC your clients, well, you could do ABCD if you like. I'll finish on that note. What is an A client? And you may have your own criteria to apply, but my experience has been an A client is somebody who is financially strong. They have a long-term mindset for their rental property. It's their retirement strategy, or they're acquiring assets as a method of building their wealth. A clients are honest and rational. They're easy to talk to. They're reasonable to deal with. They're good at making decisions, and they're technologically able. And I put that in because there's a lot of technology that we now use in the property management industry, which, of course, is part of your job to understand that technology, but it's not part of their job. And so they have to understand how you communicate. Do you communicate just by email or just by phone, or do you use WhatsApp, or do you use any other platforms that so that you can communicate with them? So that's a kind of a definition of an A client. What does an A client want is the thing to think about alongside this. An A client wants transparency and accountability. They want to be able to understand what the situation is with any rent arrears or any maintenance jobs that are ongoing, or anything that may need considered to be done. So they want to know about that, and you have to be accountable to them for that work. They'd like a personal service. They'd like to hear from you. They don't want to hear from a bot or a standard format email which starts with "Dear client owner." They want to deal with a human being. They want to be treated with respect, and that should be a base approach to your communications. They'd like a quick response to any communications. If they email you, you should be answering straight away. And a hot tip: pick up the phone and talk to them. They'll be more impressed than if you just reply to the email. They expect to be kept informed about anything to do with the rental and be kept up to date. And for all of that, which is what A clients want, they expect a fair charge for your services. So you probably know a few A clients, excuse me, that you deal with already that fall into that category, and those are gold. Those are the ones that you want to have on your rent list, your owner list, because they're easy to work with, and it's a joy to have them as a client. What's a B client? What does a B client want? So B clients, they're mostly okay to deal with. They're generally just fine. They quite often will ask for a discount or a special deal when they approach you. There's quite often they think that if they've got three properties, sorry, you should get a discount. I've covered that in a different webinar, which you'll find on the RPMA website. B clients can be a little slow to respond, especially if you get in touch with them with a maintenance issue that you feel may not be urgent but should be dealt with. You might get a little bit of radio silence every now and then. You've all dealt with people like this. B clients are you'd sometimes class somebody as a B client because they've said to you, I'm going to be selling the place in 2 years' time. So you know that this is just an arrangement for 24 months. So they don't have a long-term view. So they tend to possibly have a short-term mindset. There is an upside to this as well. B clients can be taught how to become A clients. And that there's gold in that as well. You can work with the clients that you think they're pretty good, but they could be better if they would just reply to my emails. And you can turn them into A clients and into long-term clients of the business. So what do B clients want? Well, that's simple. They want everything that A clients want, exactly the same. They wouldn't mind a discount. Or they might try and avoid answering your email because you're asking them to spend thousands of dollars. But apart from that, B clients are kind of aspiring A clients, and you can train them to become that. Well, now we come to C clients, and just take a moment and think, do I know any C clients on my rent roll at the moment? Just think about them. C clients are can be unreasonable and over demanding. They do tend to take up a lot of your time. You can spend a lot of time on the phone or responding to emails and investigating things when there's nothing to investigate. C clients quite often maybe got slightly unreasonable expectations. They want you to advertise the place for a much higher rent than you know you're going to get. They'll complain about your fees, hence they'll ask for a discount. They're generally not really happy spending money on repairs or replacing anything or doing ongoing maintenance. They often have a low rent property, a low rent rental. It's rentable, but it's not great. And it can be quite liberating to turn down a new client owner who you can tell is only going to be with you for 5 minutes, and they're going to complain about every minute of that relationship. They can be taught how to become a B client, but it is an uphill struggle. If you're a fan of herding cats, knock yourself out. What do C clients want? These are the flags that go up with existing clients. What are the things that C clients want? They want 3 quotes from tradespeople for every job, even if it's a small one. They like to micromanage your every move. They like to go to every inspection with you. And I've had that experience a few times where owners have said, we're coming to every inspection. Wow. They want a rental appraisal so that they can raise mortgage money through the bank. Now, that's an area that I've learned can be fraught with danger, because if somebody says, can you give me a rental appraisal for a bank mortgage, that's to do with raising finance, and you are not a valuer. Unless you are a valuer, in which case, yeah, go for it. But and on my shortlist, the last of the C client wants is they want their own tradespeople or their family members who are tradespeople or are quite handy with the tools to do any maintenance and repairs. And generally, that's them displaying that they don't trust a company or a property manager like you, because you're gonna charge them way over the regular rates for doing simple little maintenance jobs. which, as you probably understand, is not the case. So that's what C clients want. You can train them to become B clients. And I have had that experience too. I've turned C clients into A clients, and when you've got them there, they are actually much happier than when they were grumbling at C client level. So can you get D clients? Yes, you can. So what are D clients? Well, what I've got here in my notes are D clients are leaving. They're the ones that you probably want to sack. They're the ones that take up all your time. They're the ones that create the most stress for you. They're the ones that you go home at night and they are in your head, or you're coming in on Monday morning and theirs is the first message on your phone. They are the ones that you really don't want, and they will suck the life out of you. It's not a happy place to be. Again, think about your current list of client owners. Can you conjure up one who you'd happily let go of? It is something that you should consider because they are using up your time. So that's kind of a definition of what makes a good client and an average client and a poor client. And this is you're filtering them as they come in as new inquiries. How about some questions to ask of existing clients? There's 4 or 5 questions that you can easily slip into any conversation with a client, or if you operate your business in terms of you communicate with all your owners by email or by phone on a regular basis. There's a few questions you can ask that which will help you get a flavour of whether they're an A, B, or a C. So you could try some of these. The simplest question to ask anybody is, how are things? That's all you have to ask. Give them a ring. Hi, it's Bob here from XYZ Property Management. How are things? And let them talk. And they might be complimentary to you, or they might say, oh, actually, I've got a few grumbles, or what happened last month. But you're going to get some information from them that helps you to understand how the relationship is going. You could ask them, what can we do better? Is there anything that we can do that you think we're not addressing? What can we do better? More of a marketing question, would you recommend us to a friend? If they had a friend that had a rental property, would they recommend your service to their friend? That's a good, strong new client lead. Would you give us a referral? Rather than just a friend, would you actually advise to a stranger who you happen to meet, would you advise them to get in touch with my company? That's a strong referral. And would you give us a Google review? And Google reviews are gold. They're free, and you get if you gather as many Google reviews as you can, and that's what people look for when they go searching for a service like yours. They will probably search for property management, best property management in whatever town their rental is in, and they will look at the Google reviews and read. A lot of them will read lots of Google reviews, and those are the ones that get in touch because you've got loads of good reviews. That must mean you're pretty good at what you do. So I'm making this session a quick session today because I know you guys are probably ankle deep in work. If you have any questions about this, save them for part 2. And I'd love you all to come along to part 2 as well, because I'll put some flesh on the bones of the different types of owners that you will actually be encountering already in your role. And it will give you a bit more clarity on who you're going to be dealing with or who you want to choose to deal with. Because if you refine your list of client owners so that you've got a good, strong list, you'll have a much happier, easier work life and be able to manage your workloads much better. So, yeah, I'm going to call that a done deal. I'm sure some of you will be itching to go and get a cup of coffee and a sticky bun. It's 19 minutes past smoko, so you've got to stay safe out there and look after yourself. Don't work too hard, please. As Great to have you along this morning, and we'll see you next month.